had something to say.
Fucking Jordan Peterson.
He fucking annoys the shit out of me. The idea, he says,
Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Guys, we have no more patrons. No, I'm kidding. So we have no more new patrons.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in becoming a new Patreon supporter, then head over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. The link is in the show notes or description. And you get a little shout out at the beginning of the show if you decide to support us for as little as $3 a month. And what do they get, Daniel?
Oh, so many good things. Okay, you guys, you get you get access to all of our exclusive episodes that we do. Guys, we do an exclusive episode every single month for the Patreon community. We also give all of our shows are out a week early, so you get it in a little bit more of a timely fashion than everyone else. And it's all ad-free content, so you don't have any of those pesky ads popping up in there. And yeah, it's a great platform for you guys to communicate with us. And also, you know, if we are doing anything such as a trip, for example, you find out there first. So there's like definitely some really good perks. Speaking of trips, Rose.
Yes.
What's going on?
We are going to Thailand and Bali for sure now because enough people signed up. So the trip, well, Bali was already like going,
confirmed, yeah.
But Thailand just got confirmed.
Yep.
So it is definitely happening, but there are still lots of spots available. Well, not lots of spots,
yeah,
but there are still spots available. So if you guys are interested in joining us in Thailand and or Bali, the links are also in the show notes. So show notes or description. So make sure you check that out. Just look at the itinerary, see if it's something that's interesting to you. And join us because it'll be so much fun.
It's going to be a good time, guys. We're both going to be there. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be...
Just get ready for us because I don't know if you're prepared.
We're a lot to handle on a good day. So, yeah.
But don't worry. There'll be other people that you can like interact with if you need a break from this.
Exactly.
Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So shall we jump in?
Oh, God.
Okay, guys. We have a lot to discuss.
We have so much to talk about.
We got a lot of, I don't know if it's a lot, but we got some backlash over the last episode. No, it was the second last episode.
Yeah.
Whatever went public last week.
Yeah.
So basically the discussion, I mean, we kind of knew we would get some level of backlash.
Just because, okay.
What are we talking about?
Anytime we talk about
obesity,
anything to do with obesity, it's like now in today's society, it's become this like polarized topic.
Yes, it is.
Where it's like, it's very like taboo to talk about, or not even taboo, but it's like, you're just automatically fatphobic. Like that just becomes the term to use. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I cut you off, but that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about because basically we talked about the interview with this obesity doctor.
Yeah.
Or somebody
She's
that
like a
does.
geneticist, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
So her name is Dr. Where is she? Fatima Cody Stanford.
Yeah.
She got all kinds of letters after her name.
She got it. MD, MPF,
so
MBA.
She is basically, so she went on 60 Minutes and I couldn't find the proper clips, but I have seen a few of like basically what she says.
Yeah.
Like the few clips where basically she says that obesity is mostly genetic.
Yeah.
Like majority of the time is genetic.
Yeah.
And that was like the main comment that she made, and saying that that means that if you have like, I don't know, obese parents, you're much more likely to, or like, I don't know what percentage it was.
Yeah.
But like, you're so much more likely to become obese, even with the combination of healthy diet, exercise, and sleep.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, people can agree that obesity is not a simple concept. Okay.
Exactly.
It's a very complicated issue, but I think the biggest problem that not only us, but a lot of people had was the whole, even with the addition of healthy diet, lifestyle, exercise, all of that. So that's what we like talked about. And we basically said it was bullshit.
Yeah. and maybe guys, we're doubling down. We love,
love when people double down.
I love, and now we get to double down.
Oh God.
And we get to double down hard because guys,
God.
I don't want to give away too much, but predictions that were made, because I had made some predictions, remember on the last episode, well,
we still don't know if that was the
still
motive.
Speculation.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's very in line with what other people are talking about. So like that also, like Rose sent me a text and I was like, oh my God, I knew it. And anyway.
So what, okay.
I think one thing that I wanted to like say about all this though is make clear, I guess, is of course, like we obviously take all of your like comments and things into consideration.
And
like,
we do appreciate a healthy disagreement and dialogue for sure.
100%. Like we've said from day one when we started this podcast, come to us with a good argument with some good examples, and actually we will listen to you. You know what I mean? Like we'll have that dialogue or those conversations. One thing that throughout, like, and we've done so many episodes about like, you know, various different topics and everything else. And one thing that does happen we do to discuss quite a bit is obesity, because it is a huge concern. It is a huge
topic.
And it's a huge topic. You know,
no pun intended.
We're gonna get canceled for that. But all jokes aside, guys, like we have said from day one, you know, when people are saying, you know, we're being fat phobic or we're being all of this, it's like, we never said that, for example, like what am I trying to say here? Both of us have never been like, you know what, because body positivity, for example, what I'm trying to say is, I can't.
You could say it, Daniel.
I know. I'm trying to figure out the words.
So as in, we're not trying to shame people for their body size.
Exactly.
In fact, even in that previous episode, we've said so many times that I personally do not actually think that it's an individual's fault necessarily.
Yeah.
It's mostly a societal problem and a societal issue.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, yes, of course, there's some level of individual, you know, responsibility.
Of course.
But I'm definitely not on the camp of blaming people or calling people lazy or gluttonous, because there's, like, again, obesity is complicated and it is more of a systemic problem than it is an individual problem.
Exactly.
So I'm not for shaming people for, you know, being obese or gaining weight or anything like that, because like, literally I said in the last episode that it's like, it's actually so hard not to in today's day and age.
And this is the truth.
That's a systemic problem.
Exactly. Because like, think about it. And Rose made a really good point. Like for us, like we literally have to actively work every single day to not gain weight. Like that's the society that we're in.
Yeah, seriously.
Like literally that's what it is, right? Like, and I think the thing that like frustrates me is like people are not listening to what the point that we're making.
Yes.
And again,
our words are getting misconstrued.
Exactly.
I feel like.
There's two concepts here, guys, right? Like the concept one is about body positivity. And I think that concept, and this is just in my mind how I've broken it down. In that concept, I don't think that anyone should feel bad about themselves because of their size. Yeah. I don't think anyone should be treated differently in society because of their size. Yes. Those are two really strong feelings that I have. I don't think anybody, regardless of size, gender, sexuality, race, should not be treated differently. We should all feel positive in the skin that we're in. That being said, on the flip side, I do not condone, and I don't think it's healthy for us as a society to be not acknowledging the fact that obesity does bring health risks. Yes. And that's 100% undeniable.
It's factual.
Exactly. So like
even this doctor would say it.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And I think that's where people, I think there's some, not confusion, but people are taking us saying that, you know, we don't think it's healthy to be that size, because it's not. There's a lot of health problems that come with it. And they're taking that as us being not body positive and not saying, and these are very different things. They're two different things, guys. Like at least from my perspective, they are. Yeah.
Like seriously. Anyway, so that's what we wanted to clear up. Yeah. Another thing we wanted to clear up.
Rant over.
Yeah. And then some people commenting, like sometimes when we talk about how like obesity is unhealthy, some people misconstrue that and think that we're saying that being skinny is healthy. That's
another good point. Yeah.
That is not what we were saying at all. I've never said that. I've never believed that. There's no such thing as like, because you're skinny, you're automatically healthy. Those two things, like you don't, just because I say obesity is unhealthy, and we're talking about like morbid obesity here. We're not talking about like a little bit overweight. Like
exactly.
I'm sure, you know, everything we do comes with health risks. But when we're talking about morbid obesity, that is basically like proven to be unhealthy, right?
Exactly. Well, and there's people, like, to that point though, like super skinny people. There's also people that look from the outside like have amazing bodies,
and
are
they're
super
unhealthy. So I fully do not agree that that's not what we're saying when we talk about obesity being unhealthy.
Exactly.
So obviously we don't mean that the opposite is like, as in being skinny is healthy. That's not what we're saying at all. So anyways, so let's dive in a little bit deeper into this because one of the things, again, this is just still kind of speculation, although it is out there.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Daniel said was that this is a doctor, the doctor that said that obesity is basically genetic, even with health and lifestyle factors or healthy lifestyle, they may still be obese, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't make a difference.
Which actually, just to stop on that just for 2 seconds, I think somebody commented in our comments about this and they were like, hey, you're right. Like some of the points that we were saying about how it also takes away from people that were obese, that lost weight by working out and doing all these things. It discredits what they did.
Exactly. So it's like, how do you explain that in that situation?
If it's just genetics, how can somebody that's overweight all of a sudden drastically change their life? Like start working out, start like, or if they were doing it before, doing it more, watching what they're eating, and all of a sudden they lose 100 pounds. How do you explain it?
And I think it's frustrating because this is I'm sure it's very, I mean, I'm not a researcher or a scientist, but I can imagine this is a very difficult topic to research and do like a really good study on, because the reason why I say this is because it's not like you can take somebody away. Like I feel like you can't just like take people away from their environment and force them to eat a certain number of, you know what I mean? Like, cause like you still have to, like, even if you do like observational studies or whatever the fuck they're called, where they like, they observe you over time, you're still given the free reign to do whatever you want. And a lot of times it's self-reported data. And like, especially something that you eat, unless you have somebody supervising you the entire time, watching everything you're eating, we have to rely on people reporting whatever they're eating. And I'm sorry, but self-reported data is
not reliable,
heavily flawed. And one thing that the doctor said after she said the whole obesity thing, the main thing that got her kind of in trouble, one thing that she said, which like really gave me like, I was like, oh my God, was that basically she said that doctors, let's see if I can find a direct quote. I saw something similar. Okay. And I've seen it a few times, the clip. Basically she said, doctors don't know how to treat obesity because they have patients that will come up to them and say, I'm eating healthy, I'm exercising, I'm doing everything right, but why am I not losing weight? Stuff like this. And then she immediately says, well, doctors will immediately say, well, like, I don't believe you. What do you mean? And like, I don't believe you. I don't think you are eating healthy. I don't think you are eating, you know what I mean? So, and then she's immediately saying that the doctor should, like, my perspective is, I'm sure that there, like 100% there is like weight stigma in the medical field. I'm sure there are doctors, plenty of doctors that also don't know how to deal with obesity for sure. And secondly, I'm sure there are doctors that are very judgmental toward their clients that are obese. But at the same time, I also think that it is naive at best to believe anyone that just says, I eat a healthy diet, I follow, you know what I mean? Everyone, maybe not everyone, but like almost everyone lies at the doctors, okay? And even if they're not deliberately lying, they don't actually know how much they're eating, how many calories everything is. People do not know.
Case in point, my shock last year when I thought, I did eat quite a bit of Panago. I'm like, if I had to self-report that, I would have said, 1 or 2 a month. Turns out it was like 5. Like, exactly. You don't, and like it's hard to keep track.
Exactly. And like, there's how many people do we know that say, oh, like, and again, like, this is them probably thinking this is me trying. But again, like we say, this environment, our world, it's very difficult. You walk into a grocery store, it's aisles and aisles and aisles of processed sugary stuff. So of course we're going to overeat it because it's there and it's addictive and it's very high in calories and it's not as big in volume. So it's very easy to overeat. And again, we're not talking about volume. We're talking about overeat calories because these are very calorie dense foods. Anyways, people do not know. In fact, I saw this like random show. I saw clips of it where it's basically like people that are like overweight or obese, and then they basically guess, they're like, I don't understand why I'm obese, right? They're like, it's basically like these people that are like, I do everything right, I exercise, I eat really healthy, I tried not to put oil in my fish and whatever, all this shit. And then they like watch them. So like one of them was like, I think it was like 2 sisters, and they were basically like, if I had to guess, I probably eat like, they weren't like super big, but they were like a little bit overweight. And they were like, if I had to guess, I probably eat like 1,200 calories a day. First of all, I'm like, that's bullshit. 1,200 calories is nothing. I could not survive off 1,200 calories a day. Let me tell you. Okay. It's nothing. Okay. I burn more than that just by existing probably. Okay. So already I know that that's bullshit, because again, you would also know, like, you couldn't, like, unless you were super tiny, you couldn't just accidentally eat 1,200 calories a day. You know what I'm saying? You'd have to be really trying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or like if it's a day that you're like really tired and you barely eat.
Exactly. Even then I can eat more than 1,200. Yeah. Let me trust. By lunch, I've eaten 1,200 calories. Yeah. Okay.
By breakfast. For sure.
And then later they like watched what they were actually eating. Turns out they were eating like 4,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
So self-reported, when people say like, and again, it's not to shame people. Yeah. It's definitely not. Okay.
I think it's also because like it's so hard to remember what you've had.
Exactly. So again, exactly. So I'm not shaming people. Yeah. But what we don't know, like we do not actually know how much we're eating. Yeah. And just because a patient says, I'm exercising, I'm doing everything right, does not mean that is what they are doing.
It's like honestly, guys, and I feel like we're all to blame for this. I don't track my calories, right? But there was a short period of time where I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I used MyFitnessPal and I was tracking.
Even when you track, it's hard to track.
Exactly, because I remember the day that I was going to start tracking it. Yeah. I was in London and my friend was like obsessed with MyFitnessPal. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to track. And I was like trying to figure out what I ate that day. And I was like, you
have to go do it while you're eating.
Exactly.
Otherwise it's really hard.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there was a couple days later, like I did it at the end of the day. Yeah. And I would be like filling my stuff in. And then my roommate, who maybe we went for brunch that day or something, and I ate something in front of her and I forgot it. She'd be like, yeah, but you also had this. And I was like, oh yeah, shit. Yeah, I'll add that. Oh yeah, shit. I had that as well. And like, you just forget about it. And that's in the same day.
I know.
So it's like, honestly, it's
very
so
hard to track. So like people do not know. Trust me when I say people do not know. So that's already, so to me, the fact that she said that to me is like, okay, you don't understand that people. So I'm like, where are you getting the data then that it's fully genetic and it's nothing to do with lifestyle? Because my previous point was that it is very hard to probably study like whether it's genetics and or lifestyle. Yeah. Because you can't forcibly take somebody into like a cell and like feed them, they're not rats in an experiment. You can feed them a certain amount of calories and watch them as they exercise. You know what I mean? They're living their life like a normal person. And maybe they're throwing in some, data, like their personal reported data or whatever. Yeah. But we're only going off of that. So just because somebody tells you that they're eating healthy and exercising does not mean that is exactly what they're doing. And again, I'm not saying but there are genetic components in that, for example, sorry, I'm like going on about this. Yeah. But like there are genetic components in that, for example, like, like for example, I don't know, like your genetics could be that you have more of like the hunger hormone or something, or you have a higher appetite, or that you don't burn as much. Exactly, there are cases like this, but like you wouldn't be able to become 400 pounds off of,
that genetic.
Off of eating 1,200 calories. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So again, it is genetic that maybe you were genetically prone to eating a lot, or you're more likely to crave certain foods. Like there's so many factors.
Or it could even be like, honestly, Rose, it could even be like, I look at my life, for example, and there has been periods of time in my life where I've definitely overconsumed, right? Like calories and everything. And I used to be really skinny. Yeah. And like I used to work at a bakery and I would eat so much shit. Like, and I literally would eat like so much. Yeah. And like I was lucky and fortunate. Like part of it was genetics, that I was not able to like put on as much weight.
Or were you moving around a lot more and not realizing?
That's true. It could be that too.
We don't know.
It's hard to like, again, it's hard to self-report, but I think like there's something to be said that like, like a certain amount, because I also do walk a lot. Like I walk more than the average person probably. And I think that helps, right? Yeah. Like doing things like this, like little things like doing that. And if you're not doing those things, then you probably will put on weight.
That's the thing. It's like, okay. And another factor is, one thing I do want to say is that, again, because it's so hard to actually like watch people, make sure they're eating as, because the only way to find out if it's fully genetic is if you fully control how much someone is eating and fully control how much they're exercising. And if they don't lose any weight at all in that controlled circumstance, then sure.
So here's again, I'm not promoting this. I think it's extremely unhealthy, guys. It's not a good thing. But that show that they used to have?
The Biggest Loser?
Exactly.
They still do they still have it?
I don't know. I haven't watched it in years.
For some reason, so I randomly have cable, which I like never watch.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's like on, whenever I turn it on, it's on that channel. And I feel like it's like a channel that just like keeps playing The Biggest Loser. Yeah. I don't watch it because I think it's a garbage fucking show.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
But what I was going to say about this is it really actually it reinforces your point. Because the point is, if it was entirely genetic and you had no control, and in The Biggest Loser is kind of treating everyone as rats, putting them in this experiment, right? And every single
extreme
person,
experiment, which
and
nobody should ever do.
It's not good, guys. I'm not saying you should do this at all, or
because
anyone.
It's also like not sustainable. They all gain the weight back and more.
Exactly, but this is just showing you that if it was genetic and had nothing to do with lifestyle factors, then nobody would lose weight on that show.
Yeah.
Like it would be like, even if they reduced their calorie intake, they were working all the time, they would stay the exact same weight the entire time.
Exactly.
And we all know that doesn't happen.
Exactly. And they all lose weight, but the problem with that show is that they go back into society, and that also fucks up their metabolism and like really fucks them over because they did it so drastically that their body just like completely goes off the rails.
Yeah.
And a lot of them end up gaining all the weight. So this is an example of like it's going to be so hard to lose that weight because they gain all of it back, and then it's like their body is used to eating a certain amount. I don't know. It's all fucked up. So again, it's a complicated topic.
Yeah.
But
we're not again, guys. We're not shaming anyone for this.
But the problem is when we say it's genetic and say it as not. And here's the thing: until we have a society where we are actually eating healthy and not relying on like we're not eating healthy at all, right? Like there's literally garbage food everywhere. And again, I'm not like I love to eat garbage food too.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like it's everywhere. There's McDonald's in every corner.
Everybody drives everywhere. No one walks anymore.
So we can't be saying it's not lifestyle when we have no like actual proof that our lifestyle is at all remotely healthy.
Well, here's a good example, guys. Not a good example, but think fast forward or rewind back like maybe 60 years before like the huge explosion of fast food and how much obesity was there.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I wanted to discuss.
Okay,
I looked it up. In 1975, now I'm going to give you I think I did a screenshot because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's actually shocking.
Yeah.
So in 1975, and so they showed like a chart of 1975 to 2016. Okay. So that's like what? Not even 50 years?
Yeah. It's like.
Not even 50 years.
Yeah.
And the obesity rate, my friends, it's actually like disgustingly weird. Like I can't believe. Hold on, I don't know if I did it. Okay, but I remember the numbers because I was like, holy fucking. Oh no, here it is. So 1975, the obesity rate in America was like about 12%.
Okay.
12%. Okay. And then I cannot believe this. And then the obesity rate in 2016, again, not even 50 years after, 35%. So over 35%.
Yeah.
You guys,
it's literally basically tripled.
Yeah. And you guys, again, if nothing else changed in our lifestyle and it tripled like that, we can have a discussion.
Yeah.
But it did change. So we can clearly see, like, it's not a mystery.
No.
Okay. It's a much higher calorie intake.
Yeah.
People being more sedentary.
I look at I like speaking with my grandparents and my grandparents' generation, right?
Right.
When they were growing up, first of all, they had some fast food, but it wasn't like it is now where it's like every fucking where.
Yeah.
So it was like a big treat. They would go like once in a blue moon to get like a burger from the local burger place,
exactly.
and it wasn't McDonald's either. And I'm not even sure if McDonald's was around back then. It might have been, but it wasn't like it is now. And it was a treat thing. And they were like very like careful, like not careful, but like also they were like,
and also the portions were probably
smaller. The portions were smaller. Yeah. A lot of people were like biking and walking everywhere.
Exactly.
Like it was a very different time.
It was a different time. And again, we're not blaming people for having a different lifestyle.
Kids were playing outside. The video games weren't around.
Yes.
So
when we talk about this, like we're talking about it as if it is a societal problem, which it is.
Yeah.
So we cannot like ignore that this is a big problem. And one thing that I really wanted to talk about, this was crazy.
Okay.
So there's like, have you ever looked up like the most obese countries in the world?
I haven't.
So a lot of them are these like islands. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this?
No.
So a lot of them are these like random little islands, like island countries that you haven't even heard of. Okay. And one of them, so the most obese country in the world is this small island. I think I pulled it up here. It's called Nauru. I don't know if I'm saying it right, guys. I'm sorry. Nauru. I don't know. So it is basically, it's a small island country. I think it's near like Australia and New Zealand, that area.
Yeah.
They're, it's insane. So the World Health Organization estimated that 94.5% of Nauruans were identified as overweight and obese, and an obesity rate was 71.7%. You guys. And the reason it's like, again, it is very obvious what happened in this situation because it's like a small population. So you can almost see like the changes.
Yeah.
So multiple factors that contributed to the obesity. First of all, there's a picture here of the Nauruans in 1914, which again was about 100 years ago. Yeah. And they all look not obese.
No.
Okay. They're very, like, they're quite skinny. They're quite fit, actually.
Yeah.
And then, so anyways, from the 1980s, Nauruans led a sedentary lifestyle with an unhealthy diet, contributing to the worst health conditions in the Pacific region. And one of the problems was that historically they were eating like fish and, fruit and just like, living off of the land. Okay. Yeah. And then they gained independence in 1968 due to an increase in economic growth, aka what, Daniel?
Capitalism.
Yep. From mining activities. They garnered profits that were distributed among the citizens, leading to an outflux in citizen labor. And then the government stated that the import of Western food significantly reduced the existing culture of fishing and gardening, which led to mineral depletion and economic downturn of the nation. So now 90% approximately of the land area is covered with phosphate deposits. Yeah. With the majority strip mined and non-arable. So AKA, like, they can't even grow their own food anymore.
Because they've damaged the land.
And now they are relying on processed food that are being imported from countries like Australia and New Zealand, which basically is just high in sugar and high in fat. Yeah. So this is a perfect example of you cannot blame people for being overweight. Of course. But it is the environment 100,000%.
Of which they're in.
Exactly. Because imagine, this is why I'm saying it's like the environment is so important. It's like you're living in this island. It's an island nation. Where else are they going to get the food other than fishing and gardening or whatever, other than imports?
I have actually heard this before, that a lot of these like independent, like kind of like small islands, there's a lot of, they generally do have a higher rate of obesity.
And only in the last like few decades.
Yeah.
So anyways, basically guys, moral of the story is we do not blame individuals. Yeah. There's always a balance between individual like responsibility. I do feel like depending on your circumstance, obviously. Yeah. But also societal factors, and I do believe obesity is a society-wide issue. Yeah. It's a big problem, not just in North America now, it's all over the world. Global. Okay. And it is unhealthy. I'm not going to deny this ever. Just like we said, drinking alcohol is unhealthy. I'm not trying to shame people because I still drink alcohol, but apparently we're not allowed to drink any at all. I know. We've already passed our limit of 2 drinks a week.
Oh, goddamn. Because we had one yesterday.
Oh, yeah, we had one yesterday. We had 2 on Tuesday, so we're done. We're over the limit, guys. So again, like, we shouldn't deny that it's unhealthy to be drinking a lot, and it's also unhealthy to put on so much excess weight. Okay, so that's our belief. And
should we read the tweet from?
Oh yes, okay.
We have to talk about the cigar.
Oh my god, we didn't even talk about this part.
No.
Oh my god, sorry. We went on and on.
So we went on a tangent, guys.
So one of the things that Daniel basically like predicted was that this doctor was a okay, so the prediction that Daniel had was that the doctor does like obesity medicine.
Well, it's because when this story broke and everyone was talking about it and Joe Rogan was talking about it and everyone was talking about it, I did see that this doctor's like, I can't remember if it was like in her title or something, but I saw that she was involved with the, maybe research or manufacturing, or she's involved in some way, shape or form in drug production, like pharmaceutical production that is for weight loss medication. So I was like, it is kind of suspicious. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. I can't even talk today. It was kind of suspicious that somebody, it would be like me, like let's say I was selling this type of tea and I was like, you know what? I have found through extensive research that this tea is clinically proven to like do X, Y, Z. Like I'm like, but a little bit obviously less like direct, but like the fact that she's saying, it's obesity is strictly the genetics. Yeah. You can't do anything. You eat health, and she's literally saying like eating healthy, exercising. She's almost like planting it in people's head that their only option, because it's genetic,
and she's not saying that it's good to be obese, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's like her only.
Turns out she did take quite a bit of money, not crazy amounts. Yeah. So basically she took. Let's see, she got paid from one of the makers of a prescription of semaglutide. Sorry, I'm probably saying that totally wrong. Yeah. It's a weight loss drug. Okay. And they paid her a total of, let's see, $25,000 for a consulting fee, and then basically all this money. So basically over $30,000. And just in 2021 alone, she made quite a bit of money from these pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah. And that's like probably on top of her regular job.
Exactly.
Right. Like she's doing consulting work for them and stuff.
Making money and affiliated with weight loss drug companies. Exactly. And which begs to question, does that, I'm sorry, and especially in America.
Yeah.
It does, and
I'm going to say another controversial thing, guys.
What? Oh, God.
So that was my first prediction, right? So that first prediction was
and we all know Daniel loves a weight loss drug.
So that was my first one. It's kind of seeming suspicious. I mean, these amounts, again, they're not crazy. It looks like she made like maybe 40 grand ish.
But she was a consultant for them. So it's like, how can you turn around and say, oh, you have to just change your lifestyle because,
Yeah. No, it's no matter what you do with your lifestyle.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Even if you work out or do anything, it's genetics. You have to take this drug.
I still can't.
But what I was going to say is these payments don't seem crazy, but these are only the payments that we technically know about, right? Or that are disclosed.
What would be your controversial opinion?
So my controversial, again, guys, this is very speculative. None of this has been proven. I'm talking bullshit right now.
So you're thinking there's more.
But I'm thinking, I mean, how many payments?
Be a conspiracy theorist.
How many payments can go behind closed doors? Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody could wire some money or do something, So we don't know.
Being cheeky.
I'm being cheeky. We don't know. Anyway, guys.
Oh God, we've been too tainted by too many things.
No, but all that aside, guys, I mean, it is obvious she has been paid by a few of these different places.
Yes.
So it does represent at least a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the main thing.
And they did not, apparently 60 Minutes did not disclose that
she made money.
That she made money.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's interesting.
That is.
It's interesting. So anyways, we stand by what we said.
Exactly. We double down, guys.
We double down. Hopefully what we said makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I can't be proven wrong in a world where we all eat unhealthy to some level.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but we do. So like until you actually have people being tried as a lab rat, you can't fully take someone out of their environment or unless you fully watch what they're eating 24/7, 7 days a week for for an entire year.
Exactly.
And if they lose no weight at all, then possibly.
And guys,
but then there's something called the law of thermodynamics, people.
Yeah.
Calories in versus calories out. It is a science. It has not been disproven. So again, there are many, many factors that impact calories in or calories out, depending on your, genetics.
A lot of different things, yeah.
But that's still a science.
Yeah.
So if you're eating, 1,000 calories a day, there's no way you're going to be morbidly obese. And that will be the end of my statement.
Yeah. Thank you, Rose, for the end of your statement. And guys, again, I'm going to get some hate for this.
Oh, God.
But can somebody please explain to me in the comment section? Okay. I'm wanting them to.
You're going to be controversial.
How us equating that and stating that obesity isn't healthy.
Yeah.
That it's not good. Not that it's not healthy. That it brings health risks.
Yes. Many health risks.
Many health risks.
Yeah.
Is equating to us being fat phobic. Mm-hmm. The two, again.
Yes, especially since we don't blame individuals for
exactly.
This. We do think it's a complicated topic.
Exactly.
And it's difficult.
Yeah.
Anyways, hopefully we made ourselves clear.
Yep.
And
we're still going to get some hate for it. I know.
Yes,
yeah.
but
They're
you know what?
5th episode of you talking shit. I'm like, yeah, it is. And we're doubling down. Okay.
You know what? We might have to triple down next week. We'll see what happens.
I got the read receipts. I got them.
Lord. Okay. So we got to talk about some kind of local news.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. So I saw this on TikTok and I was like, oh my God, we have to talk about this because it relates to a lot of what we've talked about before when it comes to car dependent culture and North American cities that are suburban hellscapes.
Yeah.
So basically, we live in Calgary, which is in Alberta in Canada. And there's a city called Edmonton in our province. Okay. Yeah. Edmonton is north of us and it is technically our province's capital.
It is,
yes.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a smaller city than we are, but
not much. They're pretty much the same size.
It's almost, I think they have like a 750. Anyway, yeah. It's a little bit smaller, but not that much.
Yeah.
And basically, it's an interesting city because our province is very conservative, but Edmonton is like the one little city that is like a lot more liberal and left leaning. So it's like one of those like places that, it's like the whole, like in America, like the whole state being like super conservative, but there's like one city that's like progressive.
Yeah.
So Edmonton is kind of like, weirdly, slightly, quite left wing.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I think the reason why this is happening in Edmonton is because they're the one kind of progressive-ish city.
Yeah.
Basically what happened is, I guess the city of Edmonton proposed something called a 15-minute city. Okay. So basically, many urban planners are looking for ways to help city dwellers become less dependent on cars.
Yeah.
One way to do this, they say, is by keeping the essentials for daily life, such as entertainment, shopping, green space, work, and school close to home. This is where the concept 15-minute city comes from. And apparently this is a very normal term that's used in urban planning.
Okay.
It's just a term to kind of describe, you know, the idea of like living in a little, like living in your home and then being able to go anywhere within 15 minutes, kind of like the bare essentials, right? Obviously not everything. So that's where it comes from. And so I guess people in Edmonton, like urban planners and, you know, city planners are suggesting that Edmonton should maybe have, you know, or go into the concept of 15-minute
like
city.
Plan their communities around this.
Because right now what's happening in most places in North America is like, and especially in our city, is there's no fucking such thing as a 15-minute city. Most of our neighborhoods, they don't even allow businesses to be built in that area. And so many people are relying on cars, which we always complain about. And you have to like drive like 20 minutes just to get to anywhere.
Exactly.
You know?
And what they'll do in a lot of these new communities is they will have businesses, but it'll be in like a central like business district area.
And it's just like in a car, like it's a huge car park.
It's a huge car park. It's like with a bunch of stores. It's really not pedestrian friendly. Like even when you get out of your car, you're like dodging cars to get to the store, you know, like it's not a fun place to be. And a lot of these places, unless you live right next to this central business district, like you literally, there's no way that you could even walk there in 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Like I Googled, like one of my friends bought this house. This was a long time ago and they lived like really far south. And I Googled, like I was like, just out of curiosity, if I lived there, like not that I was going to live there, but like where would be my closest coffee shop that I could walk to? First of all, it was a Starbucks.
Of course it was.
Yeah, that was the only coffee shop in the area. No local coffee shops, no nothing. Nope. There was Tim Hortons and Starbucks. That's it. And that's another problem with these central business districts. It's all chains. So you'll just get this area with just a massive parking lot. Yeah, with
it'll
all
be like
chains.
a Costco, a Walmart, a Starbucks, Walmart, Tim Hortons. You know,
all of that stuff. So anyway, the Starbucks, and I Googled, and I think it was a 35-minute walk.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking, like
it's insane.
Like and on top of it, a lot of these newer communities, not all of them, but they don't always have sidewalks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you'll have like the road that goes
because there's like the main road, right? Yeah. And in the main road, you like oftentimes there's no sidewalk. And if you're like European listening to this, it's probably you're probably like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So anyways, and that's the norm here, right? So it's like you don't even know that it's like weird until maybe you go somewhere else or you even think about this topic.
Yeah.
So anyways, and like for me though, like I've always, like my parents have always chosen to live close to something. Yeah. Right. So like I've never lived in a place where it's like I have to drive or like walk 30 minutes to get anywhere. Yeah. Like everywhere I've lived is like walkable to something. Yeah. So even in this fucking city where it's, you know, it's that's hard to find.
I know.
So I guess Edmonton Mayor Amarjeet Sohi has been peddling his city's proposal to create its own 15-minute districts by, in his words, widening sidewalks or multi-use trails that encourage walking or sustainable infrastructure in communities where they make sense. Sounds fantastic.
I know. And also on a side note, guys, and I actually saw this, I think it was on that YouTube channel that I love, like without bikes.
Not for bikes or something?
Yeah, something like
that.
Not just bikes. But they made a really good point. And think about your city as well. Like I don't know if you're in the US or wherever you are listening to this. If you're in Europe, probably you don't have this issue as much as we do here. But it was like, why are cities, like they invest so much money into maintaining roads, building road infrastructure, building all this other stuff. And I'm like, why? And that's not the only mode of transport. Like, why is it not building out and investing similar amounts of money in other modes of transit, like bike paths, like widening pedestrian areas, having pedestrian only neighborhoods?
Because follow the money, Daniel.
I know.
Follow the monies.
That's what it is.
So basically, so it sounds great, right? But of course, we live in Alberta. People are a little conservative.
A little.
And maybe a little not too bright.
Okay, Rose.
Well, not all people. Some people. And this caused controversy.
Really?
Can you believe that this would cause controversy?
I can't. I'm in shock.
And it's actually like it's worse than it sounds. Yeah. So it sparked controversy with mildly concerned citizens arguing that 15-minute cities will increase isolation Explain to me how. Anyway.
What the fuck? How?
I know. Well, more because they think, first of all, they don't understand the term 15-minute cities. They're thinking like they're just dividing everything into like cities, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, that's not what they're meaning
at all. Yeah. It's more like a 15-minute district.
Yeah. And like nobody is thinking like you can't go from one city to the next. Anyways, so while more zealous dissenters have imagined scenarios where citizen movement is monitored through surveillance or that people are fined for leaving their neighborhoods.
Oh my God.
So we got some conspiracy theorists going on.
This is so fucked.
This is how I came across it on TikTok because there was a bunch of people protesting this, saying like, oh, how are we going to know that we're not going to be like banned from leaving our district?
What is wrong with people, guys?
I know.
Like, honestly, what is wrong with people? Like, I you know what? And I think a perfect example, and obviously not all of London is like this, but I feel like London is kind of like that. They have their their hubs. So every tube station pretty much that you get out of London, it's like a hub.
Yes.
And around there, the houses are built and whatever, and they're actually like
there's like a street full of stores.
And every, I would say so many areas, like even places that we live, we weren't in central London. We were like kind of farther out.
Yeah.
But everything that we needed was within about a 15-minute walk from our place. And that created, although you probably wouldn't come to the place that we were living to like visit, like, I mean, unless you knew us, because it wasn't the nicest area. It was up and coming. But the reason why London and a lot of these European cities have not so much isolation and have like this vibrance of neighborhoods is because people can walk in 15 minutes to get places.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if everybody in Calgary was in an area where you could walk within 15 minutes.
Oh my
There'd
God.
be less traffic. More people are walking around on the streets, making it safer. Like,
I know.
Oh, they're going to monitor us with surveillance and I can't leave my district. That's not what they mean. That means that close to your house, if you need to get anywhere within 15 minutes, you can get there. Go to someone else's house and it'll be the same thing.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you can't go into other areas.
Yes.
Oh.
It says these ideas, which have thoroughly been debunked as a conspiracy, have gained traction overseas. And then the Edmonton City Council is the latest subject of the backlash.
Yeah.
Despite never saying that they plan to limit travel between neighborhoods and clarifying that they're simply interested in creating more walkable neighborhoods, which sounds fucking fantastic.
I know.
It hasn't stopped people from protesting the idea and spreading misinformation. And of course, Jordan Peterson had something to say.
Fucking Jordan Peterson.
He fucking annoys the shit out of me. The idea, he says, quote, the idea that neighborhoods should be walkable is lovely. Is it, Jordan? The idea that idiot tyrannical bureaucrats can decide by fiat. Is it fiat?
Yeah, Fiat.
What does that mean?
It's like a car, isn't it? A Fiat?
Yeah, but I think he's trying to say something else. Anyway, am I stupid? Anyway, where you're allowed to drive is perhaps the worst imaginable perversion of that idea. And make no mistake, it's part of a well-documented plan.
Okay, first of all,
nobody is saying you're not allowed to drive.
I know, this is what's so fucked up.
Oh my God, you're
and
so
also
stupid.
saying, oh, where you're allowed to drive. I'm pretty sure right now where you're allowed to drive is restricted to roads.
Oh, yeah.
As
That's
well.
True,
They do control where you can drive because you can't fucking drive everywhere.
Oh my, it's so dumb. And like, I'm sorry, if you go to like big cities in a lot of places, they have this concept, and no, they're not allowed to not leave their neighborhood.
Oh my God.
They're allowed to leave their fucking neighborhood.
Why are we in Alberta, Rose? Like, why are people protesting?
Let me read this.
About having a 15-minute walk to get whatever they need. I don't understand.
Let me read this. So, protests against 15-minute cities in Edmonton. Edmonton wants to start something called 15-minute cities where you can't go to an area that is more than 15 minutes away from you. No, that's not what it is. And they've said it so many times. Limiting your movement between districts, as they call it. I think they're just so hung up on the term district.
Yeah.
Because they think it sounds like fucking Hunger Games or something.
The reason they called it a 15-minute city is just that...
It's just an urban planning term.
I know.
People are so stupid. You will spend 90% of your life in this 15-minute area as they are monitoring your carbon footprint, aka your actual footprint. Are you fucking kidding me?
I hate our province. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why anybody would protest having everything within 15 minutes.
And they're having the thing at White Avenue, which is basically like this area where there's a lot of stores and restaurants.
Yeah.
And probably what an urban planning person would describe as a 15-minute city.
Exactly.
In that area.
Ironic.
Oh my God. It's
the irony.
Yeah. Why don't you just protest in a suburb? Why? Because there's more people in a fucking white app.
Oh my God. It's so frustrating. It like literally
makes me so mad. I know. It is literally the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard.
But this is, you know what? You know what's the sad thing is? If they propose this in Calgary, people would do the same thing.
Oh, they would 100%
like
do the same thing.
guys, like, please rationalize with me here. Somebody in the comment section write something that actually, like.
But the good thing is, when I was looking on the TikTok comments, of course, TikTok comments is not everything.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, it's so stupid that people are like protesting this. Oh my God, a walkable area. What a nightmare.
I know, what a terrible thing to do.
God. Like, it's actually insane.
Oh my God. It actually,
it's like, why do we like going to Europe? Like, have we ever questioned, like, people love going to Europe?
Yeah.
You know, why? I'm sure there's like, the culture and stuff, but we also love the fact that you can just easily walk around, easily get on a train and go to the next city. And obviously it's not as feasible here because we live in a bigger piece of land.
Yeah.
But like, one of the reasons that it's so vibrant and fun is because it's all like a lot of it is walkable.
Yeah. Well, Rose, it would be feasible here if they had planned properly. Like if
we didn't have idiots saying it's a conspiracy.
Exactly. Like if Calgary had been built even before this big boom and everything else, and they'd built an amazing train infrastructure, they had like everything within the communities, like within a 15-minute walk, they had pedestrianized streets, all this stuff. We could have an extremely amazing city. You know what I mean? Like, and
I know.
And the thing is, so many people go to Europe from North America and they do love it. And they're like, you know what? Part of the reason, like, just think, I think about like
common sense.
It is, because I think about like, for example, like sometimes I occasionally borrow my mom's car, like to drive around and stuff. And anytime you're driving somewhere, you always have to find parking. You have to do all this other stuff. It's annoying. Whereas if you can easily walk somewhere or take the train, it's like, or be able to get there easily by doing various other modes of transportation. It's amazing. Like being able to walk, like if I could just like walk everywhere, which I try to do. Yes. It's so nice. I don't have to worry about parking. I don't have to worry about anything. I can have a drink if I want. Exactly. I can do like whatever I want to do. And the places that you go walking, if people can walk around, there's just more people around.
Exactly. And I know it's so frustrating. And it's so frustrating because people are so dumb because, for example, there's an area in our city. It's like quite new. It's a new neighborhood. It's called University District. Yeah. And that area is super popular because they basically designed this 15-minute city concept. Yeah. Because basically they have like, there's condos, but like in literally the neighborhood, there's all of these stores and coffee shops, a grocery store. Yeah. So literally it's like an area, it's a 15-minute city concept. Yeah. And people love it. And it's expensive to buy a place there. And any place in our city that has this 15-minute city concept is more expensive. Like I wonder why.
Look where we bought our places. Yes. More expensive.
Exactly. We chose places that were more expensive because of this concept.
Exactly.
So imagine having this everywhere. Exactly. Oh my God. Like what the fuck?
Shocker. I'm going to say one more thing about this before we move on, because we are ranting about this a lot, guys, because it is infuriating.
I know.
But I can guarantee you, and I would put money on it, guys. Again, another speculation here. Yeah. But I could almost put money on it that the people that are going against this and really against this 15-minute city are the same people that would be complaining that the traffic is getting too bad, that they can't find parking, that they can't do all this shit. And I'm like, you know what, bitch? You wanted this. This is the city that you wanted. Deal with it. If we don't have modes of transportation and everybody has to drive to work, guess what? We're going to have traffic jams. Exactly. We're going to have all this other shit. Like, you fucking deal with that shit. Ugh. I'm in a mood.
I know.
God damn.
Okay, so that was that idea. Let us know what you guys think of this concept. Like, clearly we have opinions.
And clearly, like, I just can't believe people are like...
I know. I was rolling my eyes so hard.
About the terminology, like 15-minute city. And like, I don't understand why people have taken that and been like, I cannot leave
You're going to
my
monitor.
District.
Yeah. Even though they've literally, and they're like, and then even when they say like, no, that's not the plan. They're like, how do we trust you? How do we trust you? I'm like, so if they wanted to do that, don't you think they would have done it already?
Exactly.
What do you think that it's going to change? Yeah. Like, how do you think it's going to change? If they could monitor us already, which I mean, sure, we could argue that they are already doing. Yeah, yeah. Guaranteed all these people are on Facebook giving away all their fucking personal information.
Well, and guys, everyone has a cell phone.
Exactly. Like, we're already being monitored, people.
If you're worried about being monitored, don't have a fucking cell phone.
Like, where do you get this concept concept that we're not going to be able to leave our fucking cities. What the fuck? These people are watching too much Handmaid's Tale.
I know, it's so true.
Like, it's so stupid.
It's so dumb. Oh God, that was quite the fucking story. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into a very sad story, which I mean, it's an update on the sad story. Okay.
Oh God.
So we talked about this, the tragic story of the Lindsay Clancy, who was this mother of 3 kids, young children that, there's speculation. Okay, apparently, some people are doubting that she had postpartum psychosis.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, here's my question to you and other people that are watching. I know that when there's like so basically, if you guys didn't watch the episode or listen to the episode, basically Lindsay Clancy was a mother of 3 and suspected. So one day she had issues.
Yeah.
Okay. She's been having some psychological issues. She was getting some treatment, and apparently she was over medicated.
Yeah.
So they were giving her all kinds of medications, which can also fuck up your, psyche.
Yeah.
And so her husband was actually working from home because of Lindsay's situation.
Yeah.
And one day her husband went to go get takeout, and he left for 25 minutes. And during the time that he had left, unfortunately, she had basically killed her 3 children and jumped out of the second story house. And I think she ended up becoming like paraplegic or something like this. Okay. So anyways, that's kind of like what happened on that day.
Yeah.
So she's going through trial right now. And then the prosecution is basically saying that she planned the whole thing. And I wish I could, like, I've been reading up on a lot of this, but I don't know if I can find a specific article.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the prosecution is basically saying that she planned all of it.
Yeah.
And one of their arguments is that normally when the husband goes to get like, I don't know, like takeout, she sends him, or like he goes somewhere that's like 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
But then apparently she sent him somewhere like further away.
Yeah.
Like 25 minutes. I don't know. It's like somewhere further that they normally don't go to.
Yeah.
Apparently they've been there before, but they don't normally go there.
Okay.
I feel like that's not a very strong
No, that's
argument.
not a strong argument because like, again, someone could look at my Uber Eats and be like, God, this guy loves Panagar.
Yeah, but one day,
I might pick to eat something else, guys. That's actually a weak argument in my case. Like, it's different. Like, we talked about another case, and I'm just digressing for 2 seconds, where this guy was like Googling terms on how to hide a body and his wife goes missing. Like, that's a little bit more like suspicious, you know? But me ordering from like a fucking different place than what I normally do. Yeah. Like,
I know. To me, that's weak. Not a very strong argument. And apparently she was seen, I don't know if it was earlier that day. Sorry, I can't seem to find a timeline or whatever. But anyway, apparently she was seen earlier that day appearing normal. Yeah. In like, maybe she was picking up something at the store with her kids or something, and she was appearing normal. And that was another point of argument. But I think like with psychosis, I've heard that you can appear normal. Like sometimes
100% you can.
And just because you appear normal earlier that day does not mean you can't have a psychotic break later.
100%.
So it's like, I don't think that's fair. So my question is it always in a case like this, when you have like a prosecution, like their job is to like basically take this story and make her the perpetrator? Correct.
Well, they want to get they
want to convict her. Basically, that's her main job.
The prosecutor's job, from my understanding, guys, is that they're looking out for the victims, right? So they're trying to, you know what I mean? So they're prosecuting the crime. Sure. So they're looking out for
So they have to have someone to blame.
Yes.
But isn't that a little bit of? Do you see what I'm getting at? Like, I feel like, how we said like this whole court system is important, but also sometimes it's like a game. Yeah. Where it's like you always have to have like the defense, and you always have to have and again, which I understand the reasoning for, but sometimes it's frustrating when it's like the prosecution just seems like they're just pulling things out of, kind of nowhere, not nowhere, but like they're kind of pulling at things.
They're pulling at strings.
Just to like make a case.
Yeah.
It's like they're forced to make a case.
Well, they build a case, right? Like they also help build
I know,
the case.
But it's like, do they actually believe this, or are they just building a case?
Well, that's what you'd have to ask the prosecutor.
So yeah, basically challenging the defense attorney Kevin Reddington's description of a woman in the throes of postpartum mental illness and over medication. So that's the defense's argument. Yeah. They're saying she was, going through all this postpartum, which they have a lot of, backup for. Yeah. And again, anyway, Sprague, which I guess is the prosecutor, district attorney. Is that a prosecutor? I think. Anyway, alleged that Clancy planned the attack, deliberately sending her husband out to run an errand and picking up dinner in order to buy herself time. Which also I've heard, again, lots of different comments, people saying that, you know, even if you're going through psychosis and like you have these thoughts, apparently you can still plan things even in the state of psychosis.
Yeah.
So that could also have been it. Like maybe she did plan it. Because like there needs to be some level of planning when you're like, you know, doing this, something like this, right? So obviously she did wait for her husband to leave. Yeah. Because if she was, people are thinking if you're in psychosis, you're just like going insane and just like doing crazy shit like right at that moment. But I don't think that's necessarily how it works.
No, but also it's like
it's showing motive.
No, because the thing is when somebody's in a psychosis, yeah, they can do things where like, for example, like if like waiting for your husband to leave and everything else. But like if she's in a psychosis, like even though she did that, she's not in her right headspace. Do you know what I mean?
That's what
like,
I mean.
Like
she could have planned it.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
In her psychosis. Because you know what? Psychosis. You know what, guys? Like, and again, I'm not justifying her actions. I'm not trying to like,
but it's,
but like when somebody's in a psychosis, it's such an interesting and scary kind of place for them to be, first of all. And also like they don't really, there's a disconnect when you're in a psychosis from like reality and what you perceive to be reality. Right. So in her, in her condition, in her mind, there could have been like her kids could have been, coming at her with like weapons and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
she could have been thinking that. And it could have happened right when her husband left. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, that she didn't subconsciously wait for him to leave, or maybe she did. Maybe she had thought that these people were trying to get her, or which are her kids. And she's like, I have to do something, but my husband is here. So I'm going to wait till he's gone. So he's safe when I do it. You know, there could be so many different things, but like somebody that's having a psychosis is not in their right headspace, regardless. Like,
so I feel like that's not a very good defense.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very good argument on the prosecution side.
I think it's a weak argument, to be honest.
Anyway, but it's dividing a lot of people, actually. A lot of people are saying that she is, you know, guilty.
Yeah, I think it's because there's a lot of stigma around this.
I think so. And I think there's also a lot of people, again, I'm not saying I understand the psychosis concept. Yeah. But I think it's so hard when you've never experienced it or seen somebody that experiences it to like understand it. Yeah. And I pray that none of us have to go through it, but like it can happen to anybody.
Really, it can.
And that's what's really fucking scary. It's like, of course our immediate thought is to, you know, completely blame the person that did this horrible thing. But at the same time, it's like, what if that was you? What if that was your, you know, like husband or wife, or, you know, like,
until it happens to someone that you know, because I was like that before. Right. But until it happens to somebody that you know. Right. It's hard to really get to the depths, but when you see or experience something like that firsthand, it really changes your perception. Yeah. And I'm very much changed now, where I'm like, again, I'm not just saying like we should just let people get away with whatever, but there is something to be said about people that are being in these psychosis and these mental breakdowns where they're actually not themselves. They really aren't. Like, they're not their true person.
And I feel like it's important to, you know, like understand this, because that's how you prevent stuff like this from happening, right? Because if we pretend that she didn't have I mean, again, we don't know the full details, and maybe we'll find out more information, but based on everything that I've heard so far, I mean, I haven't fully gotten like really deep into it, but she hasn't had there's no motive, first of all, right? Yeah. Like, she was by all means a loving mother, you know, loving wife, you know, all this stuff. There's no motive, which I think is quite an important, you know, thing to know. Like, you like, motive is very important in like a murder trial, for example.
For sure.
So there's no real motive. She has no history of violence. She's clearly had a history of mental health issues. Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of, you know, like, to me, at least from what I see now, it seems like she was going through some sort of psychosis. Yeah. And I think, like, in order to prevent stuff like this from happening, or at least try to, like, you know, because something similar to this happened, like, I don't know how many years ago, this woman named Andrea Yates or something like this, and she also like killed all her kids. She had like 5 kids and like killed all of them while her husband was gone, or something like this. Yeah. And she was also going through like all kinds of shit. Okay, but and again, everyone was like blaming her and all that stuff. And I do think partially it is her fault, because she also had this like religious, she was a little bit of a religious fanatic. And I think like the person that she was following basically said like, you don't like, I think he like didn't advise on like taking medications and shit like this. It's like a lot of stuff happened with her or she stopped taking medication, and then she had more kids, even though it was advised that she doesn't have any more kids. Right. Because what happens is when you already have those symptoms, when you have like whatever child, if you have more and then the symptoms kind of die down, if you have another one, you're much more likely to go through those symptoms again.
Right.
So anyways, she's in jail. I don't know where she is. She's definitely locked up somewhere. But anyways, either way, this woman is going to be locked up, right? Either in a facility where they treat her, which I hope that's where she goes. But I mean,
I don't think, and again, I don't want anyone to take what I said out of context, in the sense that like, I think there's something to be said. Like, if you commit a crime, regardless if you were suffering a psychosis or whatever, you did commit a crime, right? Like, she did kill her children.
Right.
Like,
you think that they should still be punished under the law?
Under some way.
Right.
Like,
I think they should be rehabilitated. That's my personal belief, but shoot me if you
But like, you know, like there has to be some sort of repercussion, right? Like, or not repercussion, but some sort of
reaction to this issue.
I'm not saying that just because somebody has mental health or they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
No, of course not.
So like,
I hope nobody thinks that's what you're saying.
Well, you know, people think 15-minute cities means that the government's going to surveillance them and they cannot leave their 15-minute walkable area.
God damn, someone's in a...
Well, like, what the fuck? Seriously, guys, I honestly, like, I want to have, and this is going to sound really bad, guys.
You want to have faith in humanity?
I want to have faith in humanity, but then this kind of stuff happens.
Humanity makes it very difficult.
And I get it. There's going to be topics that we are naturally all divided on when they literally, there's controversial topics, right? And I get it. There's two sides to the argument. But when it's something like so blatantly obvious, and you have people pulling like some weird theories out of the sky, I'm like, okay. Like, yeah. I just can't with this. I
need a beverage, Daniel.
I feel like I need a beer, but I've already hit my limit for this week. So technically I can't, according to Canadian alcoholic guidelines.
We've already gone over the limit, Daniel.
Yeah, we have. I'm a raging alcoholic according to the Canadian guidelines. So,
I love an angry Daniel. Let me tell you that.
It does happen from time to time, guys.
I love a ranting Daniel.
God damn.
Anyway, on that positive note, guys,
damn.
let us know your thoughts on all of the controversial discussions we had today.
Heated one
this
today,
was
guys.
a very controversial episode, apparently, because apparently Walkable Cities is a controversy.
Do not with me, Rose. Oh my God. Seriously, I'm going to like lose it.
Yeah. So guys, let us know your thoughts. If you are watching on YouTube, there is a little comment section. You guys love that comment section.
Yeah, you do. So give us some comments, guys. We do read them, as you can tell.
Yes. So let us know. Do you think we're a bunch of fat-phobic bigots? Or
that want everyone to be restricted to a 15-minute city where they're going to be monitored by their government and they can't leave?
Thing. Again, the reason why a lot of us have sedentary lifestyles is because we're just sitting in our cars all day.
And fighting against having a 15-minute walkable city.
Exactly.
And you wonder why everyone's obese.
Exactly, because we're just... Anyway.
Yeah. Let's not go down that rabbit hole, guys.
We can talk about this for hours.
We really could.
But yes, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a big thumbs up. Of course, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Yeah. And of course, make sure you follow us on any podcast platform of your choice. Give us a rating, guys. 5 stars only. Okay. Tell your friends, tell your family. We need more listeners. We need more love. Okay.
We got to show some love, guys.
I know.
Help blow this podcast up.
Yeah. And what else, Daniel?
Well, if you're not already, guys, check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/SaVeg podcast for lots of exclusive content and perks.
We're going to record our February exclusive right after this.
We sure are.
We're already riled up.
Damn,
sure it'll be an interesting
heated
episode.
Discussion. But yeah, so check that out. Membership starts as little as $3 a month.
Yeah.
All ad-free content, everything on there. And also, guys, check out the description or the show notes. We will have links for both those trips that we're doing.
Thailand and or Bali.
That's happening in August. So guys, feel free to just click the link, see what the trips are about. And if it's something you're interested in and you want to come on a trip with me and Rose, then sign up, guys.
We can have debates in person.
Yes.
Friends.
We can have
over multiple beers as we violate the alcohol guidelines.
Exactly. Eating some freaking delicious
I'm so excited.
Vegan Thai food and vegan Bali food. And yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Anyway, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. As Rose mentioned, we are going to be recording our Patreon exclusive only episode and we're continuing on the stories aren't we?
Yeah. So apparently we have so many stories this week. So we're actually going to continue on the stories in our Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
So make sure you sign up for our Patreon. It is patreon.com/the SaVeg podcast. So make sure you listen if you guys want more juicy stories. Again, patreon.com/the SaVeg podcast. The membership is only $3 a month and you get that exclusive content. Thank you so much for listening and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.